while knowing the truth is not as often a question of survival. The founder of FedEx gambled his last savings on blackjack. Can we do something? Can we achieve something? Can we overcome an obstacle? They are the Illuminati or whatever who are just pulling all the strings. These are the most fundamental forces in the universe. Hi audience, it's a lovely sunny day, not as cold as the last times.
And Kalin is not freezing for a first time.
My first non-freezing podcast.
What's the difference between truth and dare in life?
Dare is always good because it leads us somewhere while we can know the truth and do nothing about it. So dare seems to be the most important.
Why people often ignore the truth?
They are biologically programmed that the truth is not important, and we need to do some reprogramming, so to speak, in order to really respect and pursue the truth.
Why is fitting in sometimes more important than knowing the truth?
It's always more important biologically. To our biology, fitting in is a question of survival, while knowing the truth is not as often a question of survival.
What do you mean by that? Can you give us an example?
Well, when we evolved with the tribe, if we didn't fit in, we were cast away and were dying, or at least didn't pass our genes. While knowing the truth, although important, was not as important as having a shared truth with the tribe, which led to cohesion and cooperation. So this is where it's coming from.
Can false beliefs sometimes be beneficial in life?
Only in very rare cases and very short term. I can give you an example of a true belief that will not be beneficial, which is that the founder of FedEx, I think, one of the two biggest delivery companies in the US, he was going out of business at the very beginning, so he went to Vegas and gambled his last savings on blackjack. I think he tripled them or something, and then he saved the company with the money he earned. And it's a true story, but this is not a story that is going to be useful to anyone, because of course this was extreme luck, and that's not the advice we should give or follow. So there are rarely true stories that are not so useful, that are some anomalies, and there can be useful stories that are not true, but our stories, our identity, our affirmations, they better be true and useful. And a lot of the things about the internal world, like can we do something, can we achieve something, can we overcome an obstacle, they are recursive, which means that if we think we can, we actually can. So it's useful and in a way true to believe that we can, because we make it true by believing it.
Do actions speak louder than knowledge?
Definitely. Our actions make us who we are, while knowledge can be there and not be acted upon, and in which case it's not really useful.
How have concepts of truth, beauty, and usefulness changed our time?
Well, in prehistoric times, when usefulness was everything because it was connected to survival, beauty played some role about the stories we told ourselves about the world. For example, when we saw lightning, we couldn't explain it, so we made a story about the gods throwing lightning, and it was always a beautiful story. There was a beauty and drama, for example, that gods were angry and that's why they threw lightning on the world, and not they did it because they were bored or something, which is rationally okay, but it's not beautiful. So humans have an attraction to beauty. Usefulness came first, beauty came second. Truth was nowhere to be found because it was only the shared truth of the tribe, and without written word it couldn't be passed on. So it was only stories, and the most important thing was that all of the tribe believe in the same thing, so they can be cohesive and strong.
How do conspiracy theories manipulate truths and emotions?
Conspiracy theories are kind of an evolutionary force in an imperfect world full of imperfect humans. There are coping mechanisms. If we cannot find a tribe and we strive with the basis of life, which is mostly human connection and being seen and being loved, then a conspiracy theory can give us a tribe, a sense of community, a sense of belonging. But there's also another story, because I have had my own rabbit holes of conspiracy theories a long time ago, and I didn't do it because of the community or anything, because I was just watching some conspiracy documentaries. mostly about finance. And what I figured out later was that it's kind of a coping mechanism because the world is too complex to and we cannot understand it. And since the brain hates confusion, it's a coping mechanism to imagine that they are the Illuminati or whatever who are just pulling all the strings. To imagine that the world has a puppet master is kind of a bad thought, but also a relieving thought because it saves us from the confusion. And what we have to remember about the conspiracy theories is actually that the world is much more scary than with the conspiracy theories because it's all chaos. No one is at the wheel. It's all chaos.
What is chaos about?
Chaos is just the lack of structure. Chaos and structure are like fire and ice. They destroy each other. These are the most fundamental like forces in the universe when we come to how things work. And structure is key to the preservation of certain things like DNA preserves the human genes and is the basis for evolution, not only the human genes, all genes in nature. And structure is needed for complexity, but the power, the force of chaos is also always there.
What is the ugly truth for you and how do you handle it?
There are a lot of ugly truths about humans and how our ancient biology clashes with modern life and our quest for not just survival but also happiness and meaning. And in order to advance in life and to increase our freedom, we need to understand the world. We need to understand the truth in the world, separate fact from fiction and truth from bullshit. And this one is difficult because our biology is not built to do it. Most important of them is intellectual trust. We use the word trust very often, and mostly we mean emotional trust. So you have good intentions towards me, but intellectual trust is about entirely different thing, which means you are competent. If you would allow your grandma to hug you, which means that she has good intentions, you wouldn't want her to give you career advice, which is about being competent. And if you let your sysadmin reinstall your operating system, which is about him being competent, then you wouldn't want probably to hug your sysadmin. Because sysadmins are not
This is
very
gonna be weird.
huggable. So we have emotional trust, which is biologically built into us. Even babies have it. That's how they decide whether to cry or not, whether they emotionally trust the people around. So intellectual trust we developed at an adult age, and it requires an understanding of the world, about the patterns of truth and bullshit. And having intellectual trust requires that we love the truth, that we respect the truth, that we pursue the truth. And pursuing the truth and loving and respecting the truth is a flow. It's all coming back to flows. And in order for all of this to materialize, we need to not have the specific box coping mechanism about overly trusting another person, because the most popular boxes, the most popular coping mechanisms of humans are other humans. A parent can obsess over their child, a partner can obsess over their partner, and we can obsess over a human, even a friend, as a coping mechanism. And when we put so much emotional trust in this obsession, we destroy our capacity for intellectual trust. And when we destroy our capacity for intellectual trust, we cannot build a structure about what is true in the world and what is bullshit. Being able to see what is true in life and what is bullshit is the cherry on top of the cake of your self-improvement. You need flows, you need healthy coping mechanisms,
So this
you
is
need to
the
build
way.
intellectual trust, and only then you can know what the truth is.
So this is the way that actually you're turning off this coping mechanism, understanding every aspect of every actions of your or the person that is close to you. Doesn't matter if it's partner, worker, colleague, somebody else.
A relationship is only a coping mechanism if it's unhealthy. If it's healthy, then it's just a flow. If you work by yourself, it's easy to have a good relation to the truth. But if you work in a very large organization like a large corporation or the government, then there's a wonderful quote. I think it's from Sinclair. It's very hard to know the truth if your salary depends on you not knowing it. So in big organizations where there's tribalism and fighting between teams and between departments for resources, for attention, for praise, for bonuses, you again start acting very tribally, and then the truth loses its meaning, because now we are again in the tribal games. And this is why big corporations and the government is so inefficient, because people are not parts of a single big organism. They are parts of parts, and they are fighting between each other, not as a team. So unless there is exceptional leadership, large organizations are quite ineffective, which is something that we all suffer from.
Have you been ever in a survival mode?
In the physical sense, yes, but only for a short time, I guess. In nature, when you get lost and there's a lot of snow and it's cold, I have been in survival mode. But I guess in my work, not in the sense of burnouts and stuff, because I try to do my work casually, fluidly, always have backup plans. Your work is very rarely worth survival mode.